This is how you set up a two label dispense off the same roll. This is a 515 with a 3-point turn. So you're going to go into your menu and labeling mode first. You have your two link set settings, link set A and link set B. So you're going to press and hold A link set for your first label. And that needs to cross a gap, and then the label needs to fall off. Okay? Now we're going to use the B link set button. That one's also going to need to cross a gap, and then the label fall off. So in this scenario, both our link sets are at 20 millimeters. And also, we'll get a back view here. The label that you are going to be dispensing needs to be the same label that the label sensor's on. Now this label is roughly twice as big as this, which is why our link sets are going to be so close in size, but basically it's saying each time the machine travels and stops, it's going to go 20 millimeters, travel, stop, 20 millimeters, travel, stop, and that'll get us back to this one. So you always need the first label that you're going to be using to be in the same place that the label sensor is. You cannot have it set on opposite labels. If the machine doesn't allow you to do that, depending on how small or how large the labels are, with this adjustment here, sometimes we add a piece of extruded aluminum here to move that sensor physically over further so we can get it to where we need it to be. So once you get your two link sets, two label, turn orientation off and just 3-point turn. So both labels dispensed, we're back at the original one. Now what we can do is change your label peel delay settings. So your first number is going to be how long it takes for the first label to dispense after the bottle's stopped and spinning. The second peel delay is going to be the separation from the front to the back, so rotating the second label away from the front. Now in some machines are going to be using a notch to read orientation. So in that case, A is not only the time of when the first one comes out, but how far away from that notch the label is going to be. So if it needs the front label, in this case, which is the first one, the second one that's peeling, we're going to place the back label over this, and then the front one over that. So your A puts whatever it is, the back or front label first, away from the position of that, and B is going to separate the two labels from each other. So right now we have label peel delay A, 8,750, label peel delay B, 100. Let's run this one. And we're not using orientation, we're just putting on a front and a back. Timing's a little too low for the piston. I'll show you those settings in a second. Okay, so the first label came out, and then the second one is a little too tight on this side. So with the second label, the peel delay number, less is going to be left and more is going to be to the right. So we need to add a little bit more to make this gap more consistent. So let's try 200 instead of 100 for the B side. You can see 100 is not that much. This was the original 100. This is 200. So it moved a few millimeters, but it is starting to close in on this gap. So let's go up to 300. You're going to get the most speed with the second number being as low as possible. In some situations, you will need to make the bottle do a full rotation to get the timing right for that. Okay. Getting a little closer there, still slightly wider here, so now we can start doing smaller adjustments like 350, 400, 50s, 20s, things like that to get that right. So let's try 375. Okay, now we're getting in the world of being really close to the right thing. You do see a small pucker here. That's inconsistencies in the glass. Usually they'll wipe out like that. Now, the other settings that you use when setting up a three-point turn. So again, we started here at 100. Now we're at 375. Go function mode. You can switch between three-point and orientation depending on what type of labeling you're doing there. You've got your cylinder delay time. This is how long that cylinder will wait until it extends. And you saw in the first bottle, it was way too early. It was at 0.3. So I bumped it up to 0.68. You want smooth transition from the bottle entering and the piston closing. You also can adjust the speed of the piston with these flow control valves right here if you need it to go in softer or retract faster. Your second is your air cylinder return time. This is how long the piston stays engaged after the second label goes on. So I will drop this down to a small number, and you can see how quickly this is now going to retract after that bottle gets both labels. So almost immediately, that'll start to retract. That'll also increase your time. But in some situations, you need it to fully rotate both labels to get them pressed properly. And then orientation sensor delay time. If you're using an orientation sensor, you can have the bottle sit and spin multiple times until it 100% reaches that notch. Sometimes what happens if the bottle goes in and the notch is facing that orientation sensor, it'll immediately start the labeling process and it could make the labels go on inconsistently. Typically we don't really use that function, but it is there just in case. So in your main menu, you've got your A and B length set. In this case, the length sets are the same. You've got your position set for your two timings, and you've also got in the function menu your piston timings. Also, with the machine turned off, you can go into setting mode and function mode and use this air cylinder forward and backward button. What this will allow you to do is to put a bottle in here, close it, and then adjust manually with the handle the amount of pressure you need to make this spin consistently. So we can now go back into the main menu, turn the conveyor on. Now we can sit here and watch the bottle spin. If it's too loose, you can see resistance will make it spin slower. If it's too tight, it's going to press into everything, potentially even press into the plate and pinch the backing. You always want this to be as close as possible. You don't want it to be touching, but you do want it to be, you don't want the peel plate way far back. There's a lot of time for the labels to kind of wave as they're trying to go on. Just show the placement of the sensor one more time in relation to where the labels are. You can also go into our machines, into a memory mode, and number it, whatever number up to 1 through 30, and then you can also name it. Now these numbers will stay true as long as this sensor that's reading the product and this label sensor stay in the same position. But anything that in here is a digital setting, speed, spacing wheel, any of these timers, whether or not that button's pushed or not, all of those can be recalled from that memory setting